Recently, I did some portrait studies featuring 80s, and many of you seem to like it. Thank you, it means a lot. So today, I will be talking about how I do portrait studies, which will be divided into 3 sections: how to look for references, how to sketch, and how to render. Yes, the render is in quote unquote because it's an easier and lazier way of rendering, which is useful when you don't really want to fully render. Now let's go to Pinterest. Picking out a reference depends on what you want to study. In my previous videos, I always say pick references with clear shadow and light. This is to make your shading easier. But for portrait studies, focus on what you want to study. If it's the placement of the facial features, then you don't need references with clear shadows. You just need a face from different angles. Or maybe you want to learn to paint dramatic lighting. Then you need very dramatic references to the point of looking terrifying. Or maybe you just want to draw portraits for fun. That's fine too. Look for references that you really like, maybe an actor or idol you're a fan of, or pictures that really resonate with you. You can use keywords like dramatic light portrait, 3/4 angle portraits, grayscale portraits as a starter, or the name of your idol plus portrait, for example, Mingy 80s portrait. Lately, I've been into portraits with a camera flashlight lighting. It results in very sharp black shadows. It's so interesting, looks so cool. I will do this on another video because for now, I will show you how to sketch with this picture. Yes, my bias in 80s is Mingy. Anyway, it's a front view portrait, so it should be easier to sketch. Then after that, we will move on to the easy rendering tutorial. Today, we'll focus on drawing similarly to the reference to practice realism. Keep in mind that I'm not a professional artist and I didn't go to art school, so I'm just showing you the method that works for me. Also, when I say draw similarly, it doesn't mean a copy of the reference, okay? My hand is not a copier. Anyway, to draw similarly to the reference, make a list of the person's notable features. In Mingy's case, his notable features are monolith eyes, thick lower lip, high cheekbones, round chin, and also his nose. I don't know what to call this type of nose. He has a long nose bridge. Let me know in the comments what to call his nose. By the way, what you consider notable can be different from mine. For you, maybe it's the eyebrows and philtrum and the sharp eyes, and that's totally fine. It's different from person to person. Usually, I notice more distinguishable features as I draw. For beginners, you can start by tracing the reference for guidelines. I usually outline the eyes, the middle of the face, the end of the chin, the nose, and the mouth. If you struggle in drawing the whole face, draw a circle to represent the skull, then trace the jaw and ears. I think this is detailed enough to be our guideline. Place it next to the reference, and we can start our rough sketch. Make sure to stay zoomed out to get the big picture of the portrait. And don't stress yourself about the similarity in this stage. We're just placing the eyes, the eyebrows, nose, lips, jaws, hair, ears. You get what I mean. A guideline is never perfect, so use a liquify to fix if you notice something weird or out of place. Liquify is such a heaven sent. I have so much respect and admiration for traditional artists because there's no liquify in traditional mediums. They have to erase and redraw, and that takes a lot of patience. Other than the facial features, things like the forehead, the shape of the jaw, even how big the hair is, play a significant role in the similarity between your drawing and the reference. Afterwards, we're drawing the cleaner sketch. This is where we can stress a bit, just a bit, about the similarities. For this, use the reference window on Ibispaint and add the reference picture. We're going to zoom in on the sketch, and it's easier to use the reference window because it floats. I don't know how to do this in Procreate though, but in CSP you can do this in the upper right corner. Now, yes, you do need at least a basic understanding of anatomy to draw the facial features. You can do individual studies by drawing the eyes, nose, and lips separately, or by copying your favorite semi-realistic or realism artist as a study only. Do not claim the drawing as yours. Or you can watch my membership videos on eyes, nose, and lips. Someone said that my membership is actually like $1.08 instead of $0.99. I don't know, I only have the Indonesian currency and it's 10,000 Indonesian rupiah, which is only 0.56 according to Google. So Yeah, maybe YouTube takes a little cut. Anyway, why am I talking about currency, right? Villagers don't use dollars according to Indonesia's president. Anyway, to put it really simply, I focus on the outlines and planes to draw the clean sketch. What does that mean, Grandma Feng? Okay, take his eyes for example. The most prominent things, sorry, I ran out of nouns. The most prominent things in his eyes are the upper lash lines and the eyeballs. He has no visible tear duct because the upper lash line runs all the way into the inner corner. There's also some makeup on the outer corner, so I try to capture that as well. Next is the nose. The prominent feature is obviously the nostrils and also this shadow on the side of the nose. To shape the shadow, use an Asaro head 3D model as a guide because you can see the face planes easily. I did the same thing for the lips, but I never draw the upper lip unless the model has a very well-defined one. I don't know, it's just a habit. Mingi's lower lip is much thicker than the upper, and the middle of his lip is quite wide, so I'm capturing that as well. Drawing the face can be quite a challenge. Sometimes I draw it too wide or too long or just plain wrong. That's why Liquify is my best friend. But I also pay attention to the shape of the chin, the jawline, the distance between the facial features. God, the distance. The distance is so important. During my portrait studies, I realized how moving the eyes closer together, even so slightly, changes everything. That amazes me and pisses me off at the same time. And that's basically it for the face. Next is drawing the clothes and hair. The volume of the hair also affects how the portrait looks, by the way. Oh, and don't forget to flip your canvas because my god, it will humble you so bad. Look at this dude! Thank heavens for Liquify. And avoid zooming in too much when fixing the sketch. Focus on the big picture. And sometimes other things like ears, forehead, chin, even the eyebrows can make the portrait asymmetrical. But do keep in mind that human faces are not perfectly symmetrical. As long as it doesn't look weird when you flip it back and forth, you're good to go. And this is what we end up with. Okay, I know what you're thinking. Feng, it looks like I know. Listen, I usually don't sketch this clean, okay? I usually draw a messy sketch and jump straight to rendering because I don't think the sketch alone can capture the likeness of the photograph. We need the shadows and light to build the lines in the face, the cheekbones, the wrinkles. Yes, young people have wrinkles, just not as visible. But jumping from messy sketches to rendering is not for everyone. It might be overwhelming for beginners, which is why I showed you how to do the clean sketch. If you want it to be sketch only, you can fix it further with Liquify or draw an even cleaner sketch in another layer because redrawing the sketch allows you to pinpoint the mistakes in the previous one. Now I want to move on to the easy rendering part, but I just realized this photo has no shadow. Don't get me wrong, it's a great photo. Mingi is gorgeous, 100%. But compare it with this other picture of him that I also used in a study. The shadow on the grinning one isn't clear, but at least it's there. I mean, this one also has a shadow, but it's only on the neck and under his fringe. That's it. I still try to render it, by the way, and this is what I ended up with. Yeah, it looks like ass. It took me so long to render this and yeah, it's ass, okay? I'm so sorry, Mingi. I really tried, but there is not enough shadow to go with. This is the best I can do, guys. I'm sorry. So for the rendering, I will go with this picture. This is Uyong. He is also a member of 80s. I love 80s. And also, this picture has clear shadow and light. It's really good because you can determine the shadow, the lights, and the midtones easily. For easier rendering, you will want this type of picture. I start with a rough sketch. Yes, this is literally my rough sketch when I'm not making a sketching tutorial. It basically just scribbles. I know, not good at all. But I've seen professional artists draw portraits from literal scribbles, and I read somewhere that art school students also do this as a practice, usually with charcoal. I googled it and it says that it's a practice to bypass perfectionism and rigidity, but this is an AI overview, so take it with a grain of salt. If any of you know anything about this, please let us know in the comments. Share your knowledge. But anyway, the reason I scribble is not to avoid perfectionism or whatever. It's because it's fast. Okay, it saves time. That's all. That's why I scribble. And again, this method is not for everyone. Might be overwhelming for beginners. So you can do the clean sketch one and then render using this method I'm about to show you. I still do the clean sketch for this one using the same method as I did with Mingy, but much messier. Alright, I tried combining the rendering with hatchings, but didn't work. Maybe you guys will have better luck. Let me know. Okay, first, I start with the darkest shadow and hair. The dark shadow are almost black in the reference, so it's really easy to shape them. Oh, and feel free to use whatever color you like. I like blue, so I draw everything in blue. For easier rendering, just use one color so we can focus on the values or shadow and light instead of colors. This is basically like value study, just with colors. I always struggle with lips, so I'm fixing them first. I have the habit of drawing the hardest part in the beginning when I still have more energy and brain cells. The shadow that fascinates me the most in the reference is around the eyes. The aegyosal and the lines below his eyes are so aesthetic. So beautiful. Wooyoung has well-defined cheekbones to begin with, and the lines below his eyes make them pop even more. Really like it. So beautiful. As always, I'm using a flat watercolor opaque for both sketching and rendering. Since this is not a full-blown rendering, I'm using the white canvas as the base color. So if I want to make a mid-tone, I can just pick the color in between the shadow and the white base color. This is the method I'm using for blending, and I didn't even set the brush to low opacity like I usually do. You can use whatever brush you like, just make sure it has faded tips so you can get the color in between. As I said in my previous videos, understanding the face planes is important for rendering. This helps break down the shadows into basic shapes so it's easier to determine the shadow, the midtones, and the highlights. If using only the photo isn't enough, add this 3D model head to your references. You can rotate and adjust the light source and angle. I will link this in the description. To avoid overblending, only blend one side. For example, say you want to blend the line below Wooyoung's eye. Only blend this side. Don't blend the whole thing. It's also a good idea to use the watercolor edge to avoid overblending. Watercolor edge is basically outlining the shadows, like what you find in real watercolor painting. You don't have to catch the whole shadow in outline though, you can blend some of it. I'm doing a study on Wooyoung because he has well-defined bones in his face, especially his cheekbones. I draw characters with smooth cheeks at all time, so I wanna learn something different. And here is the final result, as you may have seen on my community post. I'm quite pleased with the result, and the fact that people know it's Wooyoung makes me so happy. Thank you. Thank you, fellow 18ies. I did more studies afterwards, but not focusing on the rendering itself, but rather on the facial expressions, lines and wrinkles on the face, and painting quote-unquote bad lighting. The rendering method is pretty much similar with the first two, so I won't yap too much, or this would be a 45-minute video, and nobody wants that. I always struggle in drawing big expressions. I'm not sure that's the right word. You know, like a person grinning ear to ear or screaming angrily or crying, doing these big expressions on their faces. So I need to step out of my comfort zone. I hated drawing smile lines. Even when drawing someone's grinning, I made the smile lines as thin as possible because I don't want the character to look old. But since the goal of my portrait studies is to draw more realistically, I have to just draw whatever smile lines and wrinkles Mingy has. Again, young people also have lines and wrinkles, just not as visible. And the same goes for the next study I did on Yunho. Everyone meet Yunho. Even though he doesn't have a big expression, the lighting is considered unflattering because it puts an emphasis on the cheekbones, under eyeshadow, and wrinkles around his mouth. So many people consider this lighting as unflattering. Yet somehow, still looks so good. How is that even possible? So obviously, I can't use dark shadows here. I have to use midtones to make sure he doesn't look 50 in the final result. Using references with quote-unquote unflattering lights means you need to have at least basic understanding of anatomy and face planes. I'm sorry, there is no shortcut. Wait, actually, there might be. But don't expect it to change your art overnight. Copy your favorite artist painting. Again, for studies only. Don't do anything unsavory. I'm watching you. The challenge in semi-realistic painting is breaking down and simplifying the shadows. But with copying others' work, it's already been simplified. The question is how they simplify it. And that's what you're gonna learn by copying other artists' work. Oh, and another thing. During these studies, there were several times when my eyes got tired and I couldn't pinpoint my mistakes. I know the drawing looks weird, I just can't figure out why. If that happens to you, close your drawing app. Stay away from your iPad or computer or phone for at least 10 minutes and do anything else. Rest your eyes and come back later with fresh eyes and it'll be easier to draw. Trust me, don't push it if you're tired. By the time of making this video, 80s released the preview for their next album and holy shit, all of them are bangers. If I die, play Mamacita at my funeral and dance your heart out. Okay, bye.